Hi there, everybody. This is David, and right now we are experiencing a second golden age, an embarrassment of riches as far as great games coming up, being announced, being remastered, and being remade. And there are 5 of them that have been announced for that treatment right now. And I want to go through all 5 of them and tell you all about them, what's new, what's changed, what is the game about. And I do think that that's definitely worth a sub, as I do try my hardest to 100,000 subscribers. With your help, your like, and your sub, I just know that I can get there. So thank you so much for that. And now, let's start diving through these fantastic games that have definitely stood the test of time. First up, we have Xenoblade Chronicles X, releasing both physically and digitally for the Nintendo Switch on March the 20th. This here is the only game on this whole list that I have not played the original version of. And why that is? Well, it's quite simple. I never owned a Wii U, and I was waiting for at least 5 RPGs to come out on that system before I then took the plunge, but honestly, this here was pretty much the only game that I wanted. Then the Wii U failed, and the rest is history. I have though played Xenogears, all 3 Xenosaga games, and all 3 Xenoblade games, so I can say with confidence, I know a good bit about this series. And while the other 3 Xenoblade games are massively open region, this one is much more open world, where you crash land on the planet Mira, which is composed of 5 massive continents, each with their own distinct flora, fauna, weather, and discoveries. And you begin in New LA, which is essentially like your hub town, which in and of itself is divided into various districts as well. So you'll be going out and exploring Mira and its continents, and then coming back to New LA to rest, refresh, and recover. This definitive edition promises more story content with new locations to explore, new characters to encounter, and new quality of life experiences, such as being able to change out your party members at any time, and no longer having to drag your ass all the way through New LA to find them, as well as experience sharing between all your party members, even when they aren't with you, affinity levels raising up quicker, and being able to change the time whenever you want to, and no more blade or division levels either. So basically, all those little headaches are gone, and you can instead focus on what you want to, which is kicking ass and taking names and exploring this beautiful planet. Next up, we have Lunar 1 and 2 Remastered Collection, releasing both physically and digitally on April the 18th for the PS4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PC. Just a caveat and a note about the physical edition. It is only available on Amazon, and unfortunately, there are no collector's editions either. This is the first of 2 different collections that we have for the original PlayStation that we'll be going over here. Both of them being incredibly rare, both of them being very sought after, and both of them standing the test of time. And we'll talk about Suikoden in a minute, but first, let's discuss Lunar. This is a bright, upbeat, cheery, and funny coming-of-age story about a small-town boy named Alex, who, along with the love of his life, Luna, sets off on a grand journey to unravel the mysteries of the goddess Athena, as well as take down the evil Vile tribe. The second game takes place 1,000 years later, and follows pretty much the same story, just with some different characters and different motivations, but the same unique charm and Lunar humor. The battles are strategically turn-based combat, where you move your characters around the field and positioning matters. I love how they both take place in the same world, so you'll visit some familiar locations, though, you know, an entire millennia has passed, so things have definitely changed. The remake, though, takes it up a notch, with enhanced graphics and audio, widescreen support, the ability to choose either English or Japanese as your spoken language, or French and German for your subtitles, and various other quality of life improvements, such as being able to customize your battle and strategy settings for a more streamlined combat experience, not to mention the obligatory fast forwarding as well. And for all you working designs haters out there, haters back off! You'll be happy to know that this does not use that translation, nor does it use those voice actors. Gung Ho has gone through and completely retranslated the game, so I guess all those Monica Lewinsky blowjob jokes are gone. I've just gotta say though, these 2 games were some of my favorites on the original PlayStation, but if there's any games that could give them a run for their money, it's this next collection of games, the Suikoden 1 and 2 collection, releasing both physically and digitally on March the 6th for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PC. Along with Lunar, these are some of my most beloved games on the original PlayStation. However, these 2 games could not be more different. While Lunar is bright, funny, and upbeat with some tactical combat, Suikoden is not! It weaves a tale of love, war, tragedy, family, and loss, where your choices actually matter, where death is permanent, and it will definitely tug at your heartstrings. The world is massive and full of life, complete with tons of towns, dungeons, and characters, 108 of them to be exact, and you can recruit them to join up your army and fight against the evil empires threatening the land. And with all those characters at your disposal, about half of them or so will fight with you, while the other half stays in your castle, providing necessary services, like shops, minigames, and all sorts of other different handy things that a leader needs. Combat is traditionally turn-based, and you can have up to 6 characters in your party at any time, and the battles are super fast and super fun, and they've included fast forwarding, auto-battling, and brand new UI to make equipping your characters much easier, as well as updated graphics, artwork, and all sorts of other neat little bells and whistles to greatly enhance your experience. These classics are old enough to drink now, but again, they have stood the test of time for a reason. Next up, we have the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 collection, releasing both physically and digitally this year for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PC. Oh my gosh, y'all. At the risk of sounding incredibly ancient and old, I played these games when they first came out on the NES, whenever I was 7 years old, and I'm not exaggerating whenever I say that Dragon Quest changed my life. I could not get enough of the first game. My brother and I shared a save file that we would alternate and use for grinding purposes, and it just took us forever to get through it, but it was a great bonding experience. And while I loved the second game, it was a lot more rare and more difficult to find, and I ended up only getting it after I had beaten Dragon Warrior 3. So I probably got it around 5th grade or so, because I got Dragon Warrior 3 in 4th grade before I broke my arm, so yeah, that about sounds right to me. I can't exactly remember, it's been so frickin' long ago, 40 frickin' years. But anyway, I loved it too, even though the NES version was an unbalanced mess. And speaking of Dragon Quest III, we just got our hands on that one last year, and that was no simple port. It was a true blue, from the ground up, complete and total remake, replete with new dungeons, a new job class, new lore, new backstories, new everything. It was a brand new experience, and I'm not lying whenever I tell you that the first 2 Dragon Warrior games are pretty freaking basic, especially the first one. So while at the time of this video creation, no trailers have been released and barely any information about the 2 games have been released at all, that doesn't stop me from wishing, praying, and hoping, and I cannot wait to see what they add to it, what they put into it to bring it up to the top, to really tie the trilogy together after all these years. Are we going to be getting more party members in the first game? Maybe the princess will join you after you rescue her. I don't know. Is the world of Dragon Warrior 2 going to be fleshed out so that the empty continents actually have something on them? And will the Prince of Cannock actually be useful? Hopefully. I just can't wait to receive more information about these 2 classic turn-based games. And finally, we have Trails in the Sky the First, releasing both physically and digitally this fall for the PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Similar to Lunar, I've just got to make a little caveat and side note about the physical edition here. It is only available on limited run games, so do with that information what you will. So, I've just got to say, this was my first experience with the Trails series, and it started my love affair with them. I didn't really like the Legend of Heroes games that were released on the PSP, that Gagharf trilogy, but this one was different. Because, it actually featured a high-quality translation and a coherent story with endearing characters, fun positioning-based combat system, gripping storyline setting the stage for all the future games to come. I stood outside GameStop back in 2010 to grab this when it first opened up, and I still have my box, and I've played every single game in the series since. But now, this remake definitely upgrades the experience, because, the last one was on the PSP, and now it's finally brought into the modern age with major quality of life features, gorgeous graphics, fast forwarding, a new orbit system, music, and a brand new translation. Though, if I'm being honest, I am kind of wary about the translation, simply because XC did such a wonderful job the first time around, they really knocked it out of the park. And now, neither XC nor the current Trails localizer, Nisa, is getting a hold of it. Instead, it's being handed off to a third party, that new up-and-coming company Gung Ho, who's also translating Lunar. And while Lunar is much more of an upgraded port, this, as you can see, isn't. So as far as I'm concerned, this is their first real deal, big boy game. So they better put out something fantastic because they have some huge shoes to fill. So that's it for my overview of the 5 announced remakes and remasters coming out this year. And more than likely, we'll be seeing more remakes and remasters being announced later on. But now, I've got to ask you, which ones of these are you going to be buying? Let me know in the comments, let's all talk and chat about it. And if you like this video, please be sure to watch these other top 10 lists and reviews that I have for you, because I'm sure that you'll enjoy them too. And as always, please leave a like and a comment, and have a good day.